long-term right field future. I mean, Polanco, he definitely could stick around through 2023, but if we're talking no Polanco in 22, I say either Jack Herman, Cal Mitchell, Matt Gorski, or O'Neal Cruz with an emphasis on Herman and Cruz. The Pittsburgh Pirates signed their first-round pick from this year's draft class. However, there's other news regarding the new infielder. It was a dream scenario for the Pittsburgh Pirates. When the Seattle Mariners were on the clock with the 6th overall pick, both infielder Nick Gonzalez and pitcher Emerson Hancock were still on the board. This was great for the Pittsburgh Pirates because they were guaranteed to land one of the elite college talents in the draft. When it was all said and done, the Mariners selected Hancock, leaving the Pittsburgh Pirates Nick Gonzalez. This was actually a good thing, as I was personally torn between Hancock and Gonzalez. So the fact that only one was left on the board made that decision a lot easier. Overall, the Bucs are getting one of the best pure hitters in the draft. Only Spencer Torkelson has higher immediate upside and power, but in terms of the better bat-to-ball skills, Gonzalez is right there with Torkelson. Still, Gonzalez was no slouch this year, belting 12 home runs in just 16 games. His physical build at 5'10" will somewhat limit his power ceiling. According to Jason Mackey of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Bucs have reached an agreement with the New Mexico State infielder. It looks like he has passed his physical, and the reported signing bonus is $5,432,400. The most interesting note here is the fact that he is getting exactly the amount of his slot. I thought he could possibly cost a little over slot, being a top 5 talent falling to 7, but at the same time, he has limited average leverage with the current situation. As a result, this is good news and likely means the draft savings with the later round picks will be used on Carmen Mlodzinski and Jared Jones, who reportedly signed. The latest tidbit of news is that Baseball America has released their post-draft top 100 prospect list. The team landed 4 prospects inside the top 100 with Mitch Keller at number 52, Ke'Bryan Hayes at number 62, and O'Neal Cruz at number 63. The best part of this list is to see Nick Gonzalez ranked at number 59 already. This is a big add for the Pittsburgh Pirates farm system, and he has the potential to move up to the big league club quickly. So much so that when I was thinking about it, and when you're thinking about, okay, so there's going to be 30 guys, 30 players, and that's 5 more than there were last year and 4 more than there were supposed to be at the beginning of this year, that will make the opening day roster. Now, I know the stipulation for the 26-man roster is that only 13 pitchers and 13 batters, so that you can have no more than 13 pitchers. I'm not sure if they're going to cap that number at 15, but I would assume so. And then after 2 weeks, the number moves down to 28, so they'd probably chop a pitcher, chop a position player, and then after another 2 weeks, that goes down to 26, so I'd assume they'd chop and chop again, pitcher and position player. And when it comes to the other 30 players, or other 32, 34 guys that are not on the active roster, but are on the taxi squad that are eligible to play, would Ben Cherington, would the Pirates be as aggressive as to have Nick Gonzalez be on that training roster? Because there are going to be no other players, and there's 60, that are going to be permitted at PNG Field in Altoona, or the 30 that aren't on the active roster. So it's not like the whole system is going to be allowed to be there. There's only going to be up to 34 guys allowed there at any given time. And that's tough. So the 34 that you pick is Nick Gonzalez, because the goal is one of these 34 guys, all 34 of them, have to be ready to go to Pittsburgh at the drop of a pin. They have to be ready. Would Nick Gonzalez be ready for that? I don't know. But you love to see the Baseball America prospect rankings, as the Pirates now have 4 guys in the top 100. I mean, Mitch Keller at the 52, and I think he's going to have a big year. We saw his ERA number sky high last year, but the FIP was excellent. Excellent FIP, and it just showed that Mitch Keller got unlucky last year, and I think he's going to have a really good season in 2020. Ke'Bryan Hayes at number 62, he I would be shocked if he doesn't make the 30-man opening day roster. And Antonio Cruz at number 63, and I would still say 2021 for him, but he's going to be on the 60-man. He's already on the 40-man. So Antonio Cruz, potentially could debut as early as this season. Yeah, my question is, and the biggest question is, what do they do with the top prospects? I highly doubt that a guy like last year with Quinn Priester being so young would make the 60-man. But obviously, Travis Swaggerty's got to make that 60 roster, right? Would Nick Gonzalez be in that category because of his development, the fact that he was a college player from New Mexico State? Unlike Quinn Priester, who came straight out of Cary Grove High School. It's an interesting question. And one that, if I had to guess, I would say you do see Nick Gonzalez on that 60-man roster. It would be hard-pressed for him to actually make it to Pittsburgh at any point in 2020 in this 60-game sprint. But you never know. And I do think the really interesting thing is the fact that Nick Gonzalez is considered one of the best pure hitters in the draft, and really outside of Torkelson, the best hitter in this draft. And the fact that he should have been a top 5 talent, but he fell to number 7. And it was a dream scenario. When I was watching the draft, you see the first 6 picks, you're anxiously waiting for the Pirates at number 7. And you see Emerson Hancock and Nick Gonzalez on the board at 6. You're like, okay, one of those guys are going to be on the board after the Mariners pick here. It just so happened that the Mariners made that decision really for the Pirates as they went Hancock, leaving the Pirates to Nick Gonzalez for themselves. And it's probably best, too, that Hancock didn't fall because they went with 5 of the pitchers in the draft with Jones, Majinski, Garcia, Hoffman. So I'm excited for Nick Gonzalez and for his future. And it was cool for him to come to PNC Park this past week, tour the facility, and I'm happy that he did sign for that slot value of $5.4 million. It allows for them to sign Carl Majinski and Jared Jones. And that's the big thing, is signing all 6 of those guys. They couldn't afford not to sign Jared Jones. Couldn't afford not to sign Carl Majinski. They needed all of those guys to sign because you only had 6 picks. They did get an undrafted free agent, so really 7 new guys coming in. So at the end of and Jack Hartman too, I forgot about him. But they couldn't afford not to sign them. So the fact that Nick Gonzalez and the whole COVID situation really took away the leverage that Nick Gonzalez had. Couldn't really, bargain up from that slot value of $5.4 million. It just wasn't going to happen with Gonzo because of the economic situation. It just wasn't feasible. And it's still pretty solid as the kid that Nick Gonzalez is to be handed a $5.4 million check to play pro baseball. That's got to be pretty exciting if you're that New Mexico State kid. But, I'm excited for this season. And I'm really starting to like the farm system, and especially what Ben Cherington has done. His first draft, and obviously not a full 40-round draft class. You'll see that in 2021. But you start to see patterns of what Cherington is going to do. The biggest farm system addition that he made to, get things going was trading Starling Marte for Liver Peguero and Brennan Malone. So you get that, and then you get this draft class. 7 guys. So he sort of has, there's 9 Cherington guys, and obviously you do have the free agents. You do have Heredia, you do have Riddle, you do have Erlin, you do have Derek Holland, you do have Luke Maley, John Ryan Murphy, Andrew Susak. Those guys are Cherington guys, but really the blue chip prospects, and I want to consider, Jack Hartman or some of the later round guys, or the undrafted guy, Brahms, a blue chip. But what you do see is there are 9 guys now that Cherington has acquired in one fashion or another, whether it be via the draft or Peguero Malone via the Starling Marte trade. And from what we're starting to see from Cherington, you gotta like what he's done so far in his tenure in Pittsburgh. How couldn't you? He is really starting to turn this farm system around, and it's going to be a top 10 farm system before we know it, especially if they can move Frazier and Erlin at the deadline, and I'd watch for Keone Keller to be moved as well. For the first time in franchise history, the Pittsburgh Pirates will use a designated hitter for the entire season. What should they do at the position? Are they well equipped to add the DH to their lineup? Let's dive into it. The 2020 MLB season will be unlike any other before. Not only will MLB be trying to balance playing games with the coronavirus pandemic, it will also be the shortest season in the sport's history at just 60 games. Furthermore, for the first time ever, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the rest of the National League will use a designated hitter. Now that the Pittsburgh Pirates will have the DH, they will have to figure out what they will do at that position. While no National League team is perfectly equipped for a DH this season, since they did not have an entire offseason to prepare for it, the Pirates are in a decent spot to tackle this conundrum. When the regular season begins on either July 23rd or July 24th, the Pirates will have multiple options for what they can do with their DH. It will be up to first-year manager Derek Shelton and his staff to determine which option is best. Let's go over the most likely scenario, is using Josh Bell as the designated hitter. This seems like the most likely course of action for the Pittsburgh Pirates, potentially even a no-brainer decision. When you combine his offensive prowess with his defensive shortcomings, Josh Bell appears to be a prototypical DH. Bell owns a lifetime .265 average, .354 on base, .477 slugging line with a .118 WRC plus and an 11.3% extra base hit rate. He's coming off the best offensive season of his career with career highs in home runs at 37, WRC plus 135, extra base hit 77, and ISO 292. However, his defense at first base continues to be a complete train wreck, a total and complete train wreck. In his 4 years at the MLB level, Bell has been responsible for negative 31 defensive runs saved at first base. He owns a negative 8.8 U0 150 and a negative outs above average. It goes without saying that moving Bell off at first base would improve the team's infield defense immensely. If Bell becomes the DH, this opens the door for playing time at first base. Jose Ozuna and Will Craig would appear to be the most likely to benefit from this. Colin Moran could work his way into a first base platoon as well if the team decides to roll with Ke'Bryan Hayes as the third baseman right out of the gate. While using Bell as the team's DH in 2020 is the most likely scenario, it is not the team's only option, so what else could they do at the designated hitter position? Could they move another regular to that spot? The next idea that I had is move Adam Frazier from second base to designated hitter. This idea is one that may seem a bit outside of the box, but it will make sense. Moving Adam Frazier from second base to DH could also improve the infield defense of the Pittsburgh Pirates for 2020. Now, this may sound a bit odd, especially since Frazier was a finalist for the National League Gold Glove Award at second base in 2019. But that season was an outlier, a bit of an outlier for Frazier, who had previously struggled defensively at the keystone position. The main reason it would improve the infield defense, though, is due to the other moves that would go with it. Moving Frazier to DH would allow Kevin Newman to slide from shortstop to second base. At shortstop, Newman is a below-league average defender, owning a negative 10 DRS and OAA during his 2 years at the MLB level. At second base, however, he owns a plus 2 DRS and plus 1 OAA, making him an above-average defender at the position. This move would also open the door for the team to play Cole Tucker every day at shortstop. Tucker is a plus defender at shortstop and by far the best defensive shortstop in the Pirate organization. Many people in the front office view Tucker as a future starter at shortstop, but he needs playing time at the MLB level. Moving Frazier to DH and Newman to second base can create this playing time for Tucker while also improving the team's infield defense. Let's check out another outside-of-the-box idea, using O'Neal Cruz as the designated hitter. So this one is really thinking outside of the box. It is also something the team, for a variety of reasons, is very unlikely to do. The idea would be to play O'Neal Cruz, who's one of the team's top prospects, at shortstop. Cruz is one of the top power-hitting prospects in all of baseball. In 2019, Cruz started the season at High A Bradenton with the Marauders. He hit for a .301 average, a .345 on base, and .515 slugging. to go with a 10.3% extra base hit rate and a 154 WRC+. This includes a promotion to Double-A